big news, something that I didn't expect. Literally, somebody commented on the stream. We were talking about it during the stream saying, I don't think they're going to be doing any tuning. I think they're done doing tuning. I couldn't be more wrong, I guess. Let's check it out here. Oh, no, that's not it. That's Scotty Scheffler sitting under a tree. It's here. Yeah, this is it here. The Wowhead post, also Blue post out here. Some big stuff. We talking about, like I said, on stream, and we were saying that I didn't think stuff was that imbalanced. Like, you look at season participation rates and people get kind of drunk on that, thinking like, oh, well, 58% of all healers are disc priests or whatever the stats are right now. That don't look good, but it's not that abnormal. And they don't normally nerf things substantially just because of that. It has to have an actual reason. And I was under the impression that the things that are going to change, I guess, coming this Tuesday, were not going to be on the radar because of the way they were proliferating. Like, I think a lot of people look at these things at the absolute top level, and that makes it seem bad, but in reality, it's not actually that bad. So, yeah, I'm actually shocked by this, and I really think that this is probably not, like, I don't know, this seems abnormal to me, I think. I think it's abnormal. So, anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about this, but the big thing here, Blood Death Knight. Okay, if you guys don't know, they already made... they buffed damage by all tanks by 20%. I think Blood was in a pretty bad state prior to that. Not all tanks got the same buff, but Blood, was pretty good. I felt pretty good damage-wise. But we were just talking about this last night. Somebody sent me a bit of a clip on a person doing a 17, and they did over 3 million DPS as a Blood Death Knight. They were doing 11 million DPS as a Sandland Blood Death Knight in that church area right before the second boss of Priory. 11 million DPS. They were the top damage dealer for like multiple minutes. And I guess that's a lot of it is the Blood Beast thing. I don't know. I've never played Sandland. I was actually very, very, very close. If I had more free time, like if I wasn't stretched so thin with all this other stuff, I would definitely have given it a try. But I just really don't want to, man. I really don't want to. I don't think I would enjoy it. I would basically only be playing it because I would think it would be easier to succeed on, because there's been a lot of keys where it's like, oh man, like we miss it by like 20 seconds a lot of times, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, maybe we still try. This is a big question that I have. Is this big of a difference? Let's talk about it. Exterminate damage increased by 30%. These are large numbers, to be honest. Exterminate, and then Wave of Souls 25 and Reaper's Mark 30. So those are all pretty much those are what you would consider the unique sources of damage from Deathbringer. But, like, yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of a buff, right? Because those things individually are not, you know what I mean? It's going to be nice burst damage. I think it's going to be a really big burst damage buff. But, like, yeah, Blood Plague is your top damage. Obviously Blood Boil. You got the snapping off of the Bone Shield. Like, these things are really your top overall damage over the course of a key. So I think it's going to be nice. It's not going to be like, whoa. You know what I mean? And so I don't think Sandland, everybody went nuts about the Blood Beast thing, but I think there's a lot more to it. Like, it's like a suite of a playstyle that you have to play if you really want to maximize it. You change your whole playstyle. Everything about it. You change your fucking rune on your weapon. You know what I mean? So I don't know that this is that big of a deal, but it's very, very generous, because I did not think, kind of like I was saying at the start, I didn't think Blood Death Knight needed that. I thought it was just Sandland that was overpowered. And a lot of people thought that Unholy was going to get swept, basically up in the tide there. And they kind of did as a 5% nerf for... I didn't even realize, though, it looks like it was already weaker. The Blood is Life Blood Beast. Was already 25% of the damage. What is it, stored during the... Is that how that works? I actually don't even know how it works. Like, I know so little about this. But yeah, so that looks like it was a bigger nerf for Blood than it was for Sandland Unholy, which I guess maybe doesn't... it's probably not great for people still. But I think, yeah, maybe it was needed. So Vengeance's changes are very small, but Sigil of Silence base duration is 2 seconds. Now, I don't necessarily know how useful that spell is. Like, is it actually ever going the 4 full seconds? We talked a little bit about using it as like a skip tool or something like that. Maybe that's why they're doing that. I don't know. Eldrachi Reaver Incorruptible Spirit effect now is at 10%. Was 15% for Vengeance only. I don't know what these things are. So you guys tell me, is that a defensive buff or something? An offensive buff? Like a spell for offense, and now it's nerfed? I don't know. Balance, all spell damage increased by 3%. Okay, but then they are nerfing Starfall. So I guess they're kind of trying to funnel them back more into single target damage. From what I could tell, I mean, Star Surge improved, Power of Goldrin, I assume that's single target. I don't know anything about any of this stuff, but it's interesting because Balanced Druid is currently looked at as one of the best damage dealers in the game. And I guess it's because of Starfall, maybe, overpowered. So is this like a pretty big nerf for them? We'll find out. This is the one that scares me. This really scares me. I'll tell you right now. Hey, Metro, if we buff your main, like the thing that you love about playing your Blood Death Knight hero talent so you don't have to feel pressured to go Sandland by 30% all of these spells, and then we also buff Og, are you going to take that, or do you rather it stay the same? Stay the same, brother. I'm good. I'm good. You could nerf it. Go ahead and nerf Deathbringer, man. I'm fine with that. If we nerf Og and Deathbringer, I'll be happy. This is way worse. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference again. But let's read it. It says, Augmentation's personal damage is still lower than we'd like. We're further increasing their damage output and rolling back the nerf to Breath of the Eons. We would like Breath of the Eons to feel like an impactful ability as its Augmentation's major cooldown. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, I think, to have their biggest important CD do something. But I don't think it's ever... the big change, if you guys aren't aware, the big change is that they made it so their like thing doesn't buff tanks and healers. And that's like, that was it. That was like the nail in the coffin. Then they nerfed a lot of other shit too. So it's probably going to be a lot better now. Another 8% spell damage and ability buff. I don't know that really helps their niche though. Like we were talking about this on stream, maybe even today as well, but yesterday I think it was. And I think the future for Og is like an actual damage dealer. Like I think the future, like the beginning of Og was like the Og would do 25% of the damage. Like, you know, you just assume that everything they contributes to their damage. Like they try to do on logs and stuff, right? Not on details, but on logs. And so imagine 100% of their damage is some composite of two sources. In the beginning, 25% of that 100 was their damage, and 75% was the players. Maybe even more, like 10 and 90. But let's just say it was definitely on the low end, right? I think the future of Og is 75% is your damage as the player, and then the other 25 is the rest of the group. You're buffing them, and they're giving you that. And I think they had something similar. Like Rep Pally at one point was basically just a buff bot. I mean, it was like that in the very beginning. We even had like things like Disc Priest. Was kind of not a healer in the very beginning of WoW. That's a long fucking time ago. But then they did that same thing again with Legion Paladin. They brought back Blessing of Might. It was actually just like it was almost like Evoker is now, where it was just a big buff for one of your damage dealers, and whoever you put that on, like you had to make a choice with that. It was very passive, but it's not that dissimilar, I feel like. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the future of Og. Now we have some other interesting changes too. We're going to talk a little about, even though I don't again, but yeah, it's very interesting because Monk is the one that gets talked about the most. Also have Mage, Arcane improved. I don't know anything about Mage, so to talk about it, I really don't know anything. I mean, these changes. Frostfire, is this maybe because fire doesn't play it? Is that what this is? I don't know. I have no idea why they would buff that, because again, fire looks like very well represented. But I like to see Arcane, because Arcane is very good right now. We saw an Arcane Mage in a Priory, and that guy went very well. He did very well. So yeah, looking good on that front. But yeah, Brewmaster, this is the hot topic. We talked about it again today on stream. The comment, what does Brewmaster need? Because we were talking about potential nerfs as if we almost predicted this by accident. Or buffs and nerfs, really. And the comment that sticks out to me was, Brewmaster needs a miracle. Because we're like, what do they need? Do they need a buff? Do they need offense? Do they need defense? The answer, they need a miracle. So this ain't a miracle, I don't think. But it seems like it's a pretty solid... Like, this is way better than you would expect to get. Like, certainly other tanks aren't getting this kind of buff. Brewmaster's balance increases armor by 55%, up from 45%. Mastery, Elusive Brawler, bonus dodge increased by 5% more. Those are big defensive buffs. Then we also have Celestial Brew Absorb Amount increased by 20%. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that spell does more based on the amount of stagger you clear. Is that not how that works? So 20% is like a hugely multiplicative value, is that not? That's like a big buff there, I feel like. And then it looks like we also get single target buffs in terms of damage. Tiger Palm and Rising Sun Kick, 15% buffs, and I believe those are purely single target. But I think they also have some. Yeah, I don't think the damage has anything to do with the defense, but yeah. And then there's Mistweaver, some nerfs it looks like to offense, which is, I don't know though. Is it because it says increases Crackling Jade Lightning's damage by 2,000% was 2,500%, but cleaves additional targets at 25% effectiveness was 15%. So is this just a single target nerf? I imagine it's it's like a AoE nerf, but it's more of a single target nerf than it is an AoE nerf. So, and then again, changes rushing Jade Wind increases renewing mist healing by 200%. I don't know. These are probably things that people just aren't using, because Cop reacted to the Windwalker one. Efficient training increases damage of energy spenders by 40%, and one versus many increases damage of Fist of Fury by 20%. And his reaction seemed to indicate that no monks are using those spells, but he is. And his, I think, remark was, "I'm glad to see nerfs for things I actually use, or buffs, that is." Now, Holy Paladin, yeah, I haven't kept up with it, man, but I know it's not in really good shape right now. But it looks like those are all pretty substantial buffs. What, like I don't know what these things are, but adjust reward healing increased by 80%. That can't be a bad thing, right? Veneration now transfers 280% of the damage into healing. Sounds good to me. I mean, this is like foreign. I used to play Holy Pally. It was my main for a very long time. Even after stopping my main, I always try to follow it. But like, you're saying words that are just like, are these spells? Like, what are these things? Shining Righteousness now requires 4 Shields of the Righteous to activate a free Word of the Glory. Word of the Glory. What am I, Harry? This is from Mist of the Pandora. Anyway, yeah, I think that's probably just some like offensive talent to try to encourage you to do that while also healing. I don't know what that is. Here's the big one though. This is a big actual one here. Dix Priest here coming in hot. Probably the biggest changes they've made to any healer in a long time. I don't think there was anything in the middle of a season like this in season 1 or as far back as I can remember. And so, yeah, they actually kind of explain it, but we'll talk about it a little bit. It says disciplined priests are performing beyond where we would like them to be. So we're reducing the impact of their power word, shield, penance, and atonement throughput. Now, as of right now, a lot of people are assuming that, or before this at least, they were assuming that the one hero talent, I've already forgotten the name of it, but anyway, the one that you do, Archon? No. Something like that. It puts power word shield at like high value, okay? And so everybody was like, well, I watch the best players in the world, and they can't survive without the priest. So it's the best fucking healer in the game, you idiot. You know what I mean? But and it's like, okay, maybe that's true at that level. But I'm like, literally, we're playing with this priest who can't even keep themselves alive. So it's like, I get it. They have a really powerful shield. I think that's just a fun play style. I don't really think it was that overpowered at this level. It sounds overpowered in the way that, yeah, you can put this pad on these players who now are incapable of survival without it. And now they're nerfing that seemingly. So what the hell does that mean for the top keys? But at the end of the day, downstairs, knocking on the door, looking up, these guys are struggling, man. They can't even survive. So I don't really feel like this priest was that good of a healer. I think it had some very unique kind of outlooks on its kit. And it was able to be made up, like the drawbacks of the kit were able to be made up for by people playing Vengeance or Balanced Druid. Things that were causing plenty of interrupting, plenty of disruption. So the priest was able to just kind of be carted around and just throw, important spells like Pain Suppression, Power Word Shield, Barrier maybe, obviously Power Infusion. They threw these things out and you're like, hey, you did your job. Thank you. A little pat on the head, right? But this is a fucking awful spec in the pug world. It's really, really bad. So I'm secretly happy about this because it wasn't strong in the first place. The idea of this really high power word shield thing sounded nice on paper, and I'm sure it did benefit me, but it never felt like it did. And all I could say is I really, really hope that this evens the playing field now. I really hope. We were talking about this on stream too, that people were not able to get into keys, even on lower keys, because they felt like Disc Priest was oppressively meta. And again, I could demonstrate this. I have it from previous seasons. We have BFA Druid. They were 50% of all healers. We have Shaman Season 1. It was like 50% of all healers. Holy Pally Season 2 Dragonflight. It's like 50% of all healers. It's not abnormal. The healing meta does this. I don't know why. I kind of know why. We're not gonna bash on healers the whole video, but it really feels like a lot of times the healing player base is just like woefully incapable of meeting the challenges Blizzard throw at them. So they're like, I don't give a fuck what I play. Just please tell me how not to get my ass kicked in every dungeon I do. And that, I think that's what happens here. Like you see these people who are not truly passionate about healing or specs per se, but more about just, I want to play that role. So I don't give a shit what I play. I'll just do whatever you guys think is best. You tell me, I'll try it. Because I can't imagine these guys who are like getting farmed as priests who are supposed to be able to put like 6 million absorbs on themselves and shit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you guys die this often? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like a bad idea from the get-go. And I think it's ostensibly the case. Like, whenever Disc Priest is the top healer and people all flock to it, it's the worst healer. It's always that way. But when it's the worst healer and the only people who play it are like like there's maestros out there with this spec. And it has been in the past. I don't know. You know, it's probably changed a lot since these days. But I remember like running into people who played Disc as their main when it was not popular. And it was like, oh, thank God. You know, I think we had the best healer today, guys. You know what I mean? And now it's like, time to run with the disc again. You know what I mean? Like, is this guy going to use pain suppression on me? Or like, are we going to sit on 2 charges for 15 minutes straight? Like, yeah. So I really, really hope that this evens the playing field. I don't know how it will, because I think this is bad. And this is why I would have said they weren't going to do it, because we're already 6 weeks in. So I don't know what changes now. Like, do people switch classes in the middle of the season? Because, you know, Resto didn't get any changes. And that was looked at as maybe they were kind of climbing the ladder a little bit. I think a lot of people thought Resto was really good. But I think the big issue with Resto, really big issue, like, you know me, I love Resto Shaman. But to say that this is a big issue, it means something. It's mana. They are really fucking bad. Like, real bad with mana. And I don't know why or how you fix that. But no change there. And instead, we just get single target buffs, basically, to what? Farseer only, I think. So I don't know. And then some strange Warlock buffs, which I was surprised by. Warlock seems really good right now. Like, straight up just buffs. I don't know. So, hey, we'll see what happens. I think Disc is going to definitely... It's just a perception thing. Like, this sounds like it's a big deal. I don't know what this spell does. But, like, when you see Power Word Shield nerf, you're like, uh-oh. Red alert, red alert. You know what I mean? Like, what are people going to do now? So, and then I think this is actually crazy. They're talking about nerfing atonement throughput, but they did buff it by a lot. But I guess this is the nerf, and then this is compensation for the nerf. I think maybe this is like mostly a raid thing. I don't know. You guys tell me. But yeah, really surprised to see Blood Death Knight changes. Like, I really didn't feel like Deathbringer needed this. I just felt like Sandland was just kind of just a confluence of overpowered things altogether. So let me know what you think. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of chatter on this, so I wanted to make that video. Stay tuned, though. We have great reviews coming. Still on pace for Saturday, Sunday. I'll be making another one for Monday. So stay tuned. 3 great reviews. Then next Tuesday, we'll be back testing this stuff out. I think this is coming next Tuesday. Yeah, go live with scheduled weekly maintenance, which I'm sure will be 8 hours.